Hi guys, how are you? You look so good. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my God.
Hey y'all. Wow. Is this New York City or the Wild Wild West?
This is New York City.
This is I am just so excited to be here with my friend Lyla Sage. Can we give her one more round of applause? I was actually backstage telling Lyla that I was one of the OG bought the Swift and Saddled self-pubbed books. Sorry to the publisher. But
Done and dusted.
Yes, and is still one of my prized possessions. And I have very clear memories of seeing a picture of that cover for the first time, buying the book, and then reading it in one sitting on Rockaway Beach in the summer. So if you had told me that years later I would be here with my New York Times best-selling friend, Lyla Sage, is such a gift, seriously.
When I get too many compliments, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
I'm just like, everybody stop.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll cruise right by the part where I fangirl over you and right into the event.
But can we have a round of applause for the jacket?
You're saying, like, we both love a theme.
Yes.
And I took that and ran with it. And I see a lot of you guys did too, which makes me very, very happy. So before we get into, I want to ask you craft questions. I've got some like silly, goofy story questions. No spoilers, obviously, because I want you guys to, especially at the end of this book, send me selfies of you sobbing.
Those are also my favorite
Yeah.
like currency at the moment.
Oh, really?
I love it when they appear in my DMs.
I never get sobbing pictures, just screaming. Oh, some people nodded. Excellent. My brand is strong. Can you give just a brief synopsis of what people can expect from Wild and Wrangled?
Yes. Wild and Wrangled is a dark vampire romance. I have jokes. I'll be here for the next 2 days if you want to see them. Wild and Wrangled is the fourth book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, which is a Western romance series. My hope is that it's kind of like a sweeping, soft second chance romance. It features Cam and Dusty, who are two characters that you already know if you've read the books, but you don't know everything about them. You just know that they have like palpable, wonderful, delicious tension. And so Wild and Wrangled follows both their journey now as adults and their journey back when they met. And I loved writing it. I think it's like the perfect finale to Rebel Blue. It feels like a love letter to Rebel Blue because you get to see the entire cast of characters that you all have come to know, and it's amazing. So, yeah.
That's really well done, by the way.
Thank you.
I always get so nervous when I'm asked for an elevator pitch. I forget absolutely everything in my book, so I'm very impressed.
Also, it's always so long since you've written it at that point that you're like,
Which book?
What is that about?
How about you pitch the book to me? Okay, really quickly, as someone who just finished her second reread of Wild and Wrangled, I am dying to know, when you sat down to write Done and Dusted, did you know what the entire series was going to look like? Like, did you map out Cam and Dusty from the get-go?
I did. So actually, fun fact, Cam and Dusty were kind of the story that came the most clearly after Luke and Emmy. Not necessarily in order, but what was like kind of coming. They came to me more clearly than Gus and Teddy or Wes and Ada at that time. Like those two couples existed, but I was still working out, like they were still a little bit blurry. I needed to like put my contacts in to see them a little bit more clearly. But with Cam and Dusty, it felt pretty natural because I knew I wanted to bookend Rebel Blue with two people, Luke Brooks and Cam, who have found their home at Rebel Blue Ranch. I didn't want to bookend it with, like, of course Emmy is a writer, but I thought it was like it meant more to me to start and end the series with two people who found their home at Rebel Blue, because Rebel Blue, such a strong theme, is found family. So like having, you know, the writers in the middle and bookending it with those two is important to me.
Yeah, well, speaking of two people that found their home on Rebel Boop Ranch. Wow, Rebel Boop Ranch?
That too.
You didn't hear that. I was so happy to see all of the characters return, and especially in the flashback scenes. I didn't realize this when I sat down. Like, the second chance romance is second chance romancing in this book. We get dual timeline.
Yeah.
This is your first time writing dual timeline, right?
Yes, this was my first time writing more than one flashback ever. And it was hard.
Okay, so that's my question. I want to ask some like annoying craft questions as someone who sits down as like dual timeline, too much work. I want to know, so when you sit down and you're working on something dual timeline, because it's a 15-year jump, so we get to spend a lot of time with Cam and Dusty when they're kids, when they're 15 and finding themselves falling in love for the first time, and then will they fall in love again? Yeah, we know it's a happily ever after. It's okay. Tragedy strikes. So do you sit down and write chronologically? Did you write each timeline separately and then intersperse them?
No, I do not write chronologically, and my editor is in the audience being like, yeah, she does not write chronologically. I do this weird outline, which I pick like 5 events that I know I want to happen that can be like really big or really small. It can be like a hand brush, but it can also be like a first kiss, or I want them to go to this place. And I usually pick 5 because it gives me like a defined midpoint, and then I just work my way around those 5 things until they start to come together. Okay. But because of that, my timelines are always off. So because I don't know what day it is. That's not my job. Yeah. Like, I have no idea what day it is. And so I did have a hard time kind of balancing those two things, but I wrote most of the flashbacks that appeared in the first draft, at least, kind of like all the way through. So kind of did them separately and then interspersed them in. And then after the first round of edits, added more. And it was so much fun. I felt like I was writing like a young adult novel while I was kind of writing them.
It was like that.
All the way through.
It's like nostalgic, passing notes back and forth in class. Like, beautiful.
It was so fun, but it was tricky for me. And once like Wild and Wrangled was kind of in its final form, I felt so proud of it. I was like, look at that structurally sound novel that I pulled off.
I was going to ask you if you were a plotter or a pantser, but it sounds like you're a plapantser. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Like, you think around beats, but you don't necessarily like map out everything.
Yeah.
I'm like a full outline before I sit down, and then I write start to finish, no jumping, no. I run my own office, of which there's one member, like a drill sergeant. I'm literally like, chapter 2, go.
That literally sounds like my nightmare. But people always ask her, like, what do you do when you get writer's block? I just move.
I just something else.
I just bounce in the other direction for a little bit, and it's worked out okay.
Yeah, it's worked out, I'd say, pretty fucking incredibly. Wait, so what would you say changed the most then from like your first, you said that you had a really sound draft when you were done. Was there anything that like jumps out at you that you changed a lot from the first to the last draft?
I think adding more flashbacks really, really helped identify their story, because at first it wasn't necessarily like this dual timeline that leads to a specific event. I think the flashbacks were originally kind of out of order, and so me and my editor worked really hard on making sure that like these two timelines were talking to each other, and that was like a fun challenge for me. I had never done that before, not necessarily talking to each other like directly, but like kind of like ships passing in the night, like these things, like it created just like a sense of continuity, like these things are related but they're not the same. Like, I'm not telling the same story in the past and in the present, I'm just like telling their story as it is, and it happens to take place in 2 spaces. And so I think that was like the biggest difference. My first draft of Wild and Wrangled was not great. It was fine, and like the first half of it, amazing, incredible, solid, 10 out of 10. No notes, lots of notes, but not like the amount of notes that came at the end. And I had like the kind of best time working through it. Wild and Wrangled was more of a puzzle than my other books because of that, because I also am balancing, right, like this is the end of the series, I'm really trying to stick the landing, so not only am I dealing with like the structural component, but I'm dealing with like character components and setting components and place and all of that, and just trying to find like the right balance.
I always say that like when I'm drafting something for the first time, it's split into 3 sections. The doubt, which is like the first third, everything's going well, what's going to go wrong? Second third, the the dread, which is like, okay, things are starting to maybe not sound as good as the first time. Last third, the panic, oh no, the house is on fire. I have to finish the draft. But like, it's what the most fun part of writing, at least for me, is the revision stage.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like really find my rhythm there.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So wait, can I like backtrack a little bit to something you said? So you had to balance ending a series with telling the best story that you could hear. What was it like writing a fourth book versus like writing a first book? Did you feel this like pressure to give readers the ending they deserved? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, actually. I mean, I say this all the time, but when I think about the headspace I was in when I wrote Done and Dusted, I was just like a sad girl who didn't want to be where she was. And so Done and Dusted was like, I wrote it obsessively. That was like, Rebel Blue was a place that I could go. I loved it. I had the best time. There were no expectations. I was just doing it for me. And I think like I wish I could capture that feeling and bottle it. But I think for Wild and Wrangled, that's the closest I've ever been to that feeling I had when I wrote Done and Dusted, because no one cared about Cam and Dusty yet. Everybody was still stuck on Gus and Teddy. And so I was in like my little world being like, okay, maybe I can do this without the pressure, because I've said it before, but I felt a lot of pressure with Lost and Lassoed. It was really, really hard for me. I have lots of like complicated feelings about writing that book, and I'm so proud of how it turned out, but that process was the hardest thing I've done thus far in my career. And so Wild and Wrangled was a little bit more freeing, but also terrifying
because of expectations, you'd say?
Yeah,
because people were waiting for Gus and Teddy. I totally get it, because I'm also people. That makes sense. But you're like, while everyone's still off riding the mustache, I'm gonna be over here.
I'm gonna be over here with my blondie. Justice for blonde men.
No. Yeah, look, you decided to climb that mountain in this book. He's got a lot of blonde hair. No, it's really good. I honestly, like, you kind of gave me a fetish for nose rings with this book. So like, first of all, how dare you?
Have you never seen Jamie Campbell Bower before?
That's a good point.
Yeah. When he was in the Mortal Instruments and he had his silver nose ring, I went, give me some of that.
You were like, I'm putting that in my back pocket for later.
I'm going to use this at some point.
No, it was so good. And I'm going completely out of sequence. But also just like, this was the first book of yours that I read where like the yearning was just screaming off of the page. Like, how did you develop that tension? Like, guys, Dusty is down so bad in this book from page 1. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I love a pathetic man. And to be so clear. And I know that I'm only capable of writing simps. That's on me. Yeah. And so, you know, I feel it best to like lean into that. Good. And also, Dusty's like, when I'm conceptualizing this character, because they drive everything for me, he's like, I think about what he was like as a kid, and that kid was emo. Like, he was like listening to Secondhand Serenade in his Bronco, and like that's how he learned what love is.
I mean, today when I was like flipping through, I was like, Dashboard Confessional, Blink 182. These kids hated their lives.
Yes.
They're like, get me out of this town.
They're like, it's not a phase, actually. Yeah. So that's where he came from. It's like and I love a yearning man.
Yeah.
And when I had written this, there was like, because I don't read contemporary romance, at least while I'm drafting. I normally read like horror or something that's completely opposite. Really? But I might read like a historical romance if I like need a romance fix while I'm drafting. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, Beverly Jenkins, I see you. And I see these men. I see your game. And I'm like, I would love to read, like, yearning is so good. And I think it's hard to create like a sense of like really down bad yearning in like a contemporary romance that takes place in like contemporary Wyoming with like cell phones. Yeah. Like, I think it's kind of tough, but I really wanted to try.
No, you did such a good job. Like if Cam said, lie down and let me step on you, he would be like, I don't need a rug. Like, right here. Did you have a favorite scene to work on?
So I mean, This generally always happens. The first scene that I write for the book generally ends up being my favorite.
Really?
Yes. And for this one, I normally start closer to the middle, but for this one, I started closer to the beginning. I was trying something new. And it was at the beginning, there's a scene where they're at a gas station, and it's where you kind of see their personality shine through for the first time as like a duo, like kind of see where their comfort level is with one another, even after all this time. And like the back and forth is good there. You get a lot of like Dusty and what he cares about and what's important to him, and you're in Cam's head at that point, so you're obviously getting to know her pretty well. And I loved writing that scene, and now like that scene I'm like it's so fun. And I also there's a flashback scene to their first kiss, which I adored very much. I was like literally giggling, and I was like sending snippets to everyone. I was like, look at this.
No, and I think part of what made that so perfect was that you nailed the teenage voice. Like there's true butterflies. Like also, guys, summer of the epistolary novel. Like so many letter writing novels coming out this summer. Like
I love an epistolary
someone
element.
writing a love letter. Yeah. Like,
I'll do that later.
Good. Should we become pen pals?
Probably. I love mail.
No, truly. I was reading these and I was like, God, we need to stop sending each other notes apps, paragraphs, and go back to old fashioned. I want to collect letters like stamps. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, I'm actually sick of getting mail from the IRS. So if I could get other mail, that would be great.
Happy belated tax day,
Happy
Queen.
belated tax day.
Okay, so going a little bit in a different direction. So I think it's because I so recently read Lost and Lassoed that something that really jumped out to me is how different Teddy and Cam are. Like, Teddy is a loudmouth, say first thing that comes to her mind. Like, she's amazing like that. But Cam, she has this sort of like soft-spoken woman of few words. When she speaks, it's very intentional. And when she's comfortable, she is very like a bit sassy. So those are very different character profiles to write. I was wondering, is there an FMC in Rebel Blue that you put the most of yourself into? Is there one that you see yourself in?
I think, unfortunately, no one escapes me, and everybody gets like a little piece of me that, which sucks for them. Sorry, guys. Just because by nature, for me at least, like writing is so deeply personal. So everybody's got like at least like a little of Lyla. But I think, especially kind of where I'm at in my life right now, I was really endeared to Teddy. And I think a lot of my friends would compare me to Teddy, but a lot of my friends now, but many of my friends, when they read Swift and Saddled, they were like, oh my God, did you like write this for the girl you were 5 years ago? You were like, and I was like, oh my God, leave me alone, please. And so I'm very endeared to Ada in that way, because I feel like I see her so clearly. And so I think honestly, like internally, Ada probably the most, which is funny because also everybody's like, yeah, Ada's my least favorite, and I'm like, for sure. I'm like, she's not like me at all.
Who said that to you?
So many people.
Oh my God.
I know. When anybody says anything about Wes, so I'm ready to fight. Say it to my face.
That's honestly, I think it's because you built up such a repartee between Gus and Teddy.
Yeah, that was not it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
Because in my head, again, I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, oh yeah, Wes has the plot set up.
Like,
right?
if Wes and Ada's book was first, they wouldn't feel that way. But they felt like you were cock blocking them with Gus,
which I
and
wanted
Teddy.
to. Okay, they didn't say one nice thing to each other in the entire first book. I can't just smash them together one book later. Also, brother's best friend, best friend's brother, right in a row. Boring.
Una reverse.
No, I'm not doing it.
It's so funny. Yeah, I really, really loved the pieces of Ada that we saw in this book too.
Yeah.
She plays a pretty prominent role because she's such a close friend of Cam's, and it made me love her even more as a character. So I like you, I guess.
Thank you. I think it was special to like watch Ada grow when she was getting, like sunlight from Wes. Like that's what he is for her, and like watching her grow in this way in Wild and Wrangled was really special.
Was there something that really surprised you about this book? Like something that you didn't expect? It can be like a challenge or something that happened on page that you weren't prepared for.
I don't even know if it was like unexpected, but I saw more of Emmy than I anticipated in Wild and Wrangled, which was actually really special because Clementine Ryder is forever my girl. I saw more of her than anticipated, and like I realized as I was kind of writing this that Emmy and Dusty are very similar. Yeah. Right. And they have very complicated feelings of home and this desire to like Dusty has a desire to really feel settled, where Emmy has a desire to really feel free, but they both try to accomplish that in the same way with a different goal. And so that was kind of like shocking again to think about how I'm bookending this. I was like, wow, these two should be really good friends.
What if we put them all in one interconnected family together?
That would be so fun.
Like Christmases with the Riders. Yeah, we want that. We want that short story.
Yes.
I have to say, okay, so you've been talking a lot about how personal writing is for you. I feel the exact same way. I don't know if I know this full story. Where did your lore start? Like, why did you want to first become a writer? How did this happen to you?
Okay.
How did you get this disease?
Well, I think it starts with having like just a hellscape of a brain, right? Like if your brain feels like an inescapable trap, you would probably like to write. And I think that's where it kind of started, but I've just kind of always liked to do it. But it started because I also never shut up. And when I would get home from school, my mom would be like, oh my God, how was your day? And she's probably expecting like a fine. I told her everything. Like I would start at 8 and I would end at 3:30. Like I would be like, this is what happened all day. And then she gave me a journal and she was like, you should try writing this down.
Literally, I can't even tell you, like when I try to ask for people's like, give me the short story long or long story short, I'm talking, I want you to start with, I woke up. Yeah. I immediately had to go to the bathroom. Like, I want to know the gritty details.
Yes.
I also think that, like, people ask, oh, how'd you become a writer? I don't sleep. I didn't, never slept a day in my life.
Not one single time.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't choose to become a writer. I had to exercise these thoughts.
Demons. Yeah. And also, like, every time I'm telling my friend a story, like, this is how they know they have to buckle in, because I say, let me set the scene for you. And they're like, no need to set the scene. And I'm like, no, but it really plays a role here. And so, and I also write the way that I talk. Like that's like, I write stories the same way I would orate them to someone. And I think, I think I like to write because I don't like to stop talking.
Was this always your plan?
No. I have a master's degree in education policy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I was working in higher ed. Then COVID happened. I had a career crisis. And I had written throughout grad school, throughout undergrad, just like different types of things, short form, long form, a really bad YA dystopian novel at some point, because who hasn't done that? And I mean, I come from like a blue collar family. My mom's an immigrant, and she was just like, you go to school, you go to college, and you get a job. You get a secure job that you can have, and you can do whatever you want. And so writing never like felt secure. That's not something that I understood. And so this was never my plan. And I would say that up until like 10 minutes ago, it was like not my plan, because I got laid off like 2 weeks after Done and Dusted came out.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
And my mom she's like, you need a backup plan. You need a backup plan. And I was like, I think
does
this
your mom
is the backup
know my
plan.
mom?
Maybe. I was like, this is the backup plan, Sheila. This is all I have.
It's happening.
But it worked out, so I feel okay.
Wow. I did not know that, but like, thank God for all of us that you got the kick in the butt to devote so much time to this. Now you're publishing 2 books a year.
Woo!
Wave and smile and wave. Okay. So I was just thinking, like, I so loved all of the cameos from this book, and I felt very teary-eyed upon finishing it, thinking about, I'm not going to see these characters anymore. You know the feeling of when you finish a series and you're like, this is a breakup. Like, I can't believe my favorite characters are dead.
Right.
But
in the ground.
I thought that you could give all of our gorgeous audience members today a little taste of like what you think each couple is doing right now.
Oh my God.
Like
okay.
at this very
At
moment.
this very moment.
Yeah.
What day is
specifically.
it? Thursday?
It's a Thursday.
Okay, so Luke Brooks has inventory at the bar on Thursdays. And so that means him and Emmy probably ate lunch together earlier today because she probably won't see him over the weekend because, you know, he's a small business owner. And speaking of that, when people tag me in those freaking Montana Boys TikToks and are like, this is Luke Brooks, I'm like, Luke Brooks has a job. All right.
Luke Brooks is working.
Luke Brooks does not pull out a little camera to film himself. Yeah. All right. Sorry, he's a working man.
No.
So he's at the bar. Anyway, Emmy is probably at home doing her thing, watching a movie. Probably got the urge to organize something from ADHD and then is going to quit halfway through. And Luke Brooks is going to come home to a mess. So, but they'll deal with that in the morning.
That's his other job.
Yes, that's his other job. I think that Wes and Ada on a Thursday night are probably like sitting out by the fire pit in their little house behind Baby Blue, just like taking in the sunset. Sunsets are very important to them. I think Wes and Ada like and enjoy a slower life. And so, you know, Ada's...
You think they like this little life?
Yeah. That was a good one.
We're both online.
Yeah. Too much. I think Gus and Teddy, it really depends on that. They are a wild card for me because no one knows what Teddy is going to do in any way, shape, or form. So I think potentially she could be like painting a mural on somebody's wall and Gus gets home from a hard day and he's like, what are we doing here? Yeah. But hopefully she's also working hard at like her goals and her business. I imagine her very like glued to a sewing machine. And depending on whether or not Riley is with them, that influences kind of their vibe. And if Riley wasn't with them, she would be with Dusty and Cam, obviously. And I think Cam and Dusty right now are like playing Mancala. Like, I think that's something they would be super into and like teaching Riley how to do it.
I need like a family vacation of the five of them. Yes. Like that's the next novella for me personally. Yes. Do you have a favorite character to write? Is it Ada because you identify with her, or
that makes it me that? Not like
yeah? I was about to say.
I'm like, oh God. Really? I love Wes. I love Wes in any way, shape, or form. Like I love being in his head. I think when he appears on the page, he like. His personality shines so clear in every scene that he's in. And I just had the best time writing him. I also really, really, really enjoy Dusty, in whether he's from another person's perspective or from mine. I just had the best time with him. Dusty fun because he's like the most pathetic. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, could I make him more pathetic? Yes, let's do it. I really put that man through the ringer.
Seriously, like I don't want to give anything away,
but he's a champ.
He's been waiting for this.
He's been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, it's funny to hear like you speak with so much reverence for Wes. Like
I do.
Yeah, like that's your man.
I feel like deeply protective of him.
Yeah. Oh my God, guys, stop telling her that you don't like Wes and Ada. I'm going to start fighting people. This is not okay.
I feel so protective of him. I just like, and I feel protective of Wes the same way I feel protective of like my little brother. I don't have a little brother, but if I did.
But it's Wes.
I would be like, you can't talk to him that way. I can talk to him however I want, but you can't talk to him that way.
Okay.
Scram.
No. Like completely, and good thing he has Emmy and Gus for that.
Yes,
though.
because
like,
Emmy and Gus are the same person in a different font, and they're both like hot-headed and stubborn and like ready to fight at a moment's notice, even if they think that they're not.
I know, and that's kind of what makes me so happy because Teddy kind of fell for her male male version. Like her type is Emmy. Yeah. Which is like relatable.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm scared I'm going to get cut off. So I have a couple more things I need to know. Like if you could give one piece of advice or say one thing to the Lyla of Done and Dusted, like the first Done and Dusted, what could you tell her? What would you tell her? Sorry.
This question makes me so emotional because I've been thinking about that girl a lot because I owe everything to her and her just like tenacity and grit and her kind of like balls to the wall energy of betting on herself, because I don't know, like she was in such a precarious position. I think if she was like if she felt more stability in her life, I don't think she would have bet on herself. So it's interesting that like that's how I feel about her, but I would honestly just tell her to like keep going, because I owe everything to her and our dreams weren't as good as the reality that I have right now. So I just tell her to roll on.
The dedication made me tear up. I just cried throughout this whole book, basically. Like truly, if you're in the need for some good catharsis. No, but truly, like it's so wonderful to think that a past version of you truly could not have even envisioned that she would be in a sold out crowd at the Strand, like people that love her words. I didn't mean to make you cry. I'm so sorry.
I hate you.
Okay, I need to pivot away so that we can save this for a place that serves tequila.
Exactly.
But okay, I'll ask you something silly then.
Okay, please.
So I really wanted to ask you a marry, fuck, kill, but there was an issue, which is that you have 4 protagonists, and I wanted to do it with our very sexy MMCs. So I came up with my own game called Marry, Fuck, Friend Zone, Kill. It's MFFK. Try this at home. Okay, so let's do Marry, Fuck, Friend Zone, Kill, and we're doing it with Brooks, Wes, Gus, and obviously Dusty.
Yep.
I was going to tell you mine, but I'm kind of scared of you now, so I don't think I am.
Are you going to kill Wes?
No. He's safe. He's marked safe.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, this is actually my question to get in my Facebook group, except it's fuck, marry, kiss, because I knew people would be killing Wes and I couldn't take it. Anyway, kill Gus.
You heard it here first. Rip.
I love that man, but like I love him because I know him so well, and like I knew that he was a softie beforehand. Like before I read the book, like I knew that he was like special and soft and wonderful. You guys did not. And so I think that we maybe need to discuss maybe at some point why we love assholes. I think we should unpack that later, but kill Gus.
Okay, may he rest.
I actually one time my mom was like asking me about this, and she knew that like people were asking for Gus and Teddy, and she's like, how's it going? And I was like, actually I think I'm gonna like make something happen to Gus and Teddy ends up with a paramedic. Like that was like my therapeutic dream.
Can you imagine the way people would have egged your house?
I would not be here. I would not be alive. I would not be alive. I love that man, don't get me wrong, but I am allowed to give him shit because I'm me.
Yeah.
Again, like that man needs to be humbled. You guys give him a lot of credit. Yeah. And like somebody needs to bring him down.
Someone needs to put like Nair on his mustache while he sleeps. See how he feels surviving the world hairless.
And that will be me and or Teddy, because Teddy is the other woman that likes to humble him. So as is her right. And that's why they work. They make a great couple. I'm going to friend zone Wes just because he's like my little brother. I was just playing Build a Boyfriend with Luke Brooks for a second, so I think I would fuck Luke Brooks. And then I would marry Dusty so I could have all of the above.
That was very well answered.
Yeah, Dusty's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty is like, he is the ultimate lover boy. Yeah. And he's hot. He's covered in tattoos.
I know, and he has a nose ring.
And he has a nose ring.
See, the thing about Dusty is he's slut presenting.
Yeah.
Like, he's not.
So true.
Yeah. He's not
like he passes for slut.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Luke Brooks was an actual slut at one point in time.
Yeah.
Dusty just looks that way. And I like a man that's slut presenting a lot.
Yeah. Like, he looks like he fucks, but he only wants to fuck one woman.
Yes.
And has his whole life.
Yes.
Like, okay. Vibe. I like that.
Vibe. But I want to know your other 3 real quick.
Well, now I'm like scared to tell you.
It's okay. I won't hurt you.
I want to rearrange mine.
Were you going to marry? So you were going to fuck Gus?
I was going to fuck Gus.
Yeah. I know my audience.
Yeah. But that's because like I feel like I'm a Teddy son.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I now I have to do the whole thing. I think I'm an Emmy Moon.
Love that.
I'm trying to think who I'm a Cam Rising. Yeah.
See, I'm also a Teddy Sun, but I think my Ada Moon wins out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is really hard. It's hard to so okay. I do think I have to kill Wes.
That's okay.
Are you guys kidding me? You know I'm scared. Who just gasped?
You know what? There's nothing I appreciate more than a woman who sticks to her guns.
Okay.
I'm super proud of you.
I practiced this in the Uber. I mean, practice is crazy. I just like went through it.
Yeah.
Thought about my options.
I think that's a valid answer.
Yeah.
I think that you're great. Everything's going to be okay.
Okay. I think I'm going to marry Brooks.
Oh, yeah, he'd be great.
Okay. Well, so he works, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I love like an ambitious man. I like that he's like purpose driven.
Yeah. He's ready to work.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to end up like his dad.
Yeah.
He's got
and
a job
he loves
to do.
caring for the mentally ill.
He loves caring for the mentally ill.
And I just think we would get along.
I think, and canonically, it's my headcanon, so that means that it's canon because I'm in charge here. Is that Emmy had like a pasta hyperfixation, so we bought a pasta maker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I feel very like dignified in my decision. And
I
I'm
love
not
him.
backing down.
I love that man.
Which means, I'm going to friend zone Dusty, but with the like utmost excitement for our long-lived friendship together.
Right.
like,
and he's a good friend. We see him be a good friend to Teddy. So
and he's so
good
the
friends.
sibling relationship. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want matching tattoos with him.
With me? Oh, sorry.
Oh. Okay. How late do you stay up? We're right by St. Mark's.
I don't sleep on tours. I have too much adrenaline.
Okay, that's incredible. I know exactly where I'm taking you after this.
Excellent.
Okay, so I can't let this end without asking you a question because it was requested multiple times by people who saw I was working this event. So as we all know, Rebel Blue has been optioned. Can we get a round of applause for... This might be a question you hate. I'm sorry if it is.
I don't hate any question.
Okay. What is your current dream casting for all... Y'all are so responsive. Someone just forgave me for killing one. But we want as many people as you can give us.
As many people as I can give you. So I'm not good at these because I don't see the characters as like real people in my head. I just see them as they are. And I also think that like in a romance novel in general, I know that like when we're reading, we're like, that man is so hot, but he's hot because we're looking at him through the eyes of the heroine, when in reality that man just probably looks normal. Probably just an average dude.
Who are you talking about right now?
Gus. Because
Gus is dead and ugly.
He's not ugly. He's just not Riley Green, which is the thing I get tagged in all the time. I'm like, that man's face is way too symmetrical. Like, Gus is throwing hay. Like, he's on a horse.
I am gagged by this. Okay, so like an average-looking white man for...
Okay, who has not fallen for an average-looking white man?
Me and everyone. But
they're a plague upon the earth.
There are so many options.
There's just a lot of them.
I'm dying.
So not Riley Green, but if that's your Gus, that's your Gus, and I love that for you. I love that you guys love that music video, and that Riley Green is probably like, who the fuck is Lyla Sage? She is getting tagged in all of my shit.
Can someone tag me in this, please? Thank you.
And then I do think Billy Burke from Twilight. Those of you who are out there who are like, how long is it going to take for Lyla to make a Twilight reference? It's now.
You were very patient. I'm so proud.
Thank you. I think Billy Burke from Twilight would make a great Amos Ryder.
Yes.
The girlies like that one. I love it. I mean, I jokingly said on Threads that Wild and Wrangled is Jamie Campbell Bower fanfic. Because he is like very Dusty inspired, but Dusty is like a mix of him and the guy who plays Cappy in the hit ABC Family TV show
Greek? No.
Yes.
I'm freaking out.
I love that show.
In personality or in looks?
Like kind of vibe, because Cappy was kind
Yeah.
of like bad boy with like his leather bracelets.
Oh my God. Cam, Casey.
Yes. See, you get it. You get the vision.
No,
you get the vibe.
I'm with you.
Amazing. But that's quite literally all I have.
Okay. I feel incredibly wild and incredibly wrangled. Okay, incredible start. I love that Amos is like just canonically hot. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
He's just kind of in this actually novel, there's a scene where she mentions that a character used to babysit him.
Yeah.
And I was like, how young is Amos? Like, how like daddy is Amos?
Okay. I love that you see Amos as a daddy. To me, that man is a father.
Now you're just making me look bad.
But he is super daddy.
Yeah, he is. Okay.
Like, I am not, like, in my head, Amos is the hottest one.
Yeah, no, Charlie from Twilight is a great comp. Also, that actor is in Gilmore Girls, right? Am I
Yes.
wrong? Oh, okay. Hey, Steph. Yeah, no, literally, I see him,
Yes.
and that character fishes, I think so.
He's got kind of like that, like, kind of, like, I just hear Amos with kind of like a raspy tone, you know. I think he'd be great. And Amos is my favorite character. I know that's easy money, but he is. I love him.
He's got some pearls of wisdom in
That's
this
my
one
dude.
too. Yeah.
I love that man. Every time he shows up on the page, I feel comfort.
I kind of feel like you give us advice through Amos.
Hopefully good advice.
Only the best
Do I need to preface all my books with, but I don't know, but maybe you should try this. I don't know, though.
Yeah.
The same way I give advice to my friends.
When's your birthday?
August 1st.
Okay.
All the Leos in the crowd went, yeah.
You are such a Leo. I'm obsessed. I know. I wanted to know if there's any Libra in your chart.
Not in the big three, no.
Really? Can you tell us?
I'm a Leo sun, Pisces moon, so I'm a giant baby, and a Leo rising. So I've got a double whammy.
Leo.
Yeah, so I'm insufferable, but I'm also a crybaby.
No, the Pisces. Like nothing hurts my feelings except everything.
Everything ever. Like, I'm so tough, and then I'm like, actually, that was really bad.
Okay, I've gotta ask for everyone who is just frothing at the bit for our new series. Can you tell us a wee bit about what we can expect from the big new Lyla Sage project?
Yeah, so my next like a little project moment is a duology. It's the Sweetwater Peak duology in this fake Wyoming that I've created in my head. Sweetwater Peak is about 2 hours north of Meadowlark, and it's smaller than Meadowlark, less idyllic, and it's haunted. There are a lot of ghosts there. And our two main characters in each book respectively, they're twin sisters who can talk to ghosts. And I'm so excited about it. I can't wait. Soul Searching was that's the title. I put it on my Instagram in case you missed it. It's called Soul Searching. I'm a slut for alliteration. I'm never stopping. As soon as I can't do alliteration anymore, I'm retiring.
Don't you dare.
But it's called Soul Searching. It comes out September 30th of this year. So like tomorrow.
So meet you guys back here.
Yeah.
In September.
And it's a love story between a small town upholsterer and a photographer down on her luck who can talk to ghosts. And I am doing finishing up like past pages on Soul Searching right now, so I'm like proofreading it the last time before it goes off, and I don't see it for a while. Mm-hmm. And I just like this book truly just feels like my deepest breath. I've loved Rebel Blue Ranch. There's so much of me at Rebel Blue, but I think much like a hometown, I've done all of my growing as a writer within that space. And so having the opportunity to, leave and try new things and kind of run free and let the wind whip through my hair in Sweetwater Peak has been such a gift. And I can't wait for you guys to read it.
How excited are we? Wait, I need to know from a personal standpoint, did you read any Meg Cabot when you were younger?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you read The Mediums? Yeah. Okay. We need to talk. Wow, I'm so fucking excited. And my last thing that I always like to ask whenever I do this shindig is, what's on your nightstand right now? What are you reading? Can you give us some book recs for the book girls?
What's on my nightstand right now as far as books go? I have a stack of books that I keep my alarm clock on, and that's Never Marry a Cowboy by Lorraine Heath, which is a historical Western romance. I love historicals. It's like an old clinch cover that I found, and I love it. And then it also has the current book that I'm reading, and that is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. Making my way through it very slowly. I love Stephen Graham Jones. He is a native horror writer, and I like I said, I don't read romance while I'm drafting generally, and I seem to be drafting all the time. And so I'm currently deep in that, and I just finished, which is also on my nightstand, Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green, because I was the most insufferable girl in your English class, and so I absolutely adored that. So that's what I'm reading right now. And I did just get a galley, not to brag, of People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. Woo! And I've already read it. My blurb's on the cover, but I will be reading it again.
We love Hannah.
Yes, we do.
In this house, we love Hannah. Okay, amazing. Would we ever get horror from you? Like, I didn't realize you were such a big horror fan.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
I know. I'm scary.
I'm scared.
I just like had that, like, not to mention the cursed show Riverdale, but like Jughead being like, I'm a weirdo.
No, literally. Yeah. And for our next act, we'll sing.
But there is some kind of like horror elements in Soul Searching, not necessarily, but I think there's one point, like my best friend was reading it and she texted me and she goes, am I scared right now? And I was like, I hope so. But it's still like a contemporary Western small town romance. But hopefully, like, I think a little bit of that. There are ghosts. I got to make it a little spooky seeped onto the page.
Okay. I will be prepared to not sleep at night. Nightmares for days.
I'll send it to you later.
Oh my God. Guys, I have connections. Okay, I just got the fancy hand signal for audience question.
Woo! Let's give a round of applause.
Throughout the whole series, obviously everything is very much like a found family aspect. You kind of connect your characters. Why did you decide to do that within the series?
I think a sense of belonging is something that plays such an important role in people's lives. And this is kind of like my educational background coming in a little bit, but sense of belonging is something we talk about all the time in education. And I think it like just came through. But I don't think there's anything more beautiful than feeling like you belong and feeling like you're safe and secure. And I wanted and feeling like you have a soft place to land. Like I had no desire to kind of like put my characters through the ringer. I wanted them to always be safe because Rebel Blue made me feel safe. So I think that feeling just made its way in there. And I love family ties. I love those relationships.
As much as I love the romance in all of your books, I'm also obsessed with the way that Emmy and Ada and Teddy like come together, especially as we see in Lost and Lassoed. Does that feel important when you're, especially as you entered Wild and Wrangled, to like still have, we have the found family at Rebel Blue, but also like the women, the way they like support each other, I'm so obsessed with, and like it's so endearing. So I want to know like how important that was to you, or did it just like come off the page like as you were writing?
Yeah, it was so important to me, I think. And I think being able to showcase different types of friendships is really important to me because we love Emmy and Teddy, right? And they're both, Emmy's an Aries, Teddy is a Leo. They're both fiery and fun and like ready, like they're going to key your ex-boyfriend's car. Like that is kind of their type. And I love that type. You know, I have friends like that. I am that friend. And, so I loved putting them on the page, but I also loved kind of demonstrating like a softer friendship in Cam and Ada that is just as important in maybe people who found each other later in life. And so it was really important to me to show just like different aspects of what friendships with other women could feel like and could be like, and that they're all important and that every type of personality plays a role in this kind of little unit that they're creating, this little like girl quad that they love. And it's fun to watch the way they interact outside of kind of like their best friends too, right? Like Emmy is fiercely protective of Cam in Swift and Saddled. Like we see her as soon as Cam sees Dusty, Emmy's like squaring up. She's like blocking her. She's like, get away from her. Just because she like sees that heartbreak. And we see Teddy consistently be fiercely protective of everybody, but also be kind of their biggest cheerleader and like a certified woo girl. So it was so fun to explore their dynamics, and I just like wanted to have a bunch of different types of friendships on page.
Would you ever write a Latino main character, like either a cowboy or whichever other type of character there is? Also so excited to read Wild and Wrangled.
Thank you. I think the main answer to your question is yes. I do need to acknowledge that like I am a white woman, and so when I'm thinking about characters, I want to be really cognizant in avoiding harm. And so I think it is like at best I write from an identity that is not mine and that I might not be able to do justice to, or I might do something unintentionally harmful, and at worst I cause like really, really bad harm. So it is something that like I consciously think about on how to like diversify my novels, especially because cowboys did not start as like the white ranchers on, you know, like stolen land. There was a point in time where like a white man would never call himself a cowboy because that was something reserved for like people who were a quote unquote lesser. And so like I really am so cognizant of that when I'm crafting my novels, and I want them to feel just like, I want Rebel Blue to feel like a place where I, like even though like I'm writing from 2 points of view, right? And a lot of times those points of view are happening in a vacuum. I still want it to feel like a place where everybody is welcome. So I like think about that consciously, and it's something I consistently try to improve upon. And right now I'm thinking about how I can like represent communities that I really care about, like rural communities and stuff like that. But I would also love to, in the line, give you some excellent recommendations on Latino cowboys from Latino authors and their voices I can elevate.
Hi. Thank you for being here. So, okay, a little bit of context for my question. The Rip Bodice did a Done and Dusted book club, and we spent maybe like 60% of the time being like, what is a ranch? Like, I don't know if it's because we're city girls. But like we were like, you would make them wake up at 4 a.m. and we were like, why? For what? Like, just wake up a little later. What's going to happen? Yeah. You were like, they have this amount of employees. We're like, what do they do? You don't tell us what they do. We were like so fascinated by Rebel Blue Ranch. And every conversation, we talk about one character for 2 seconds and be like, wait, but this ranch. So, again, this is New York, right? A little
Right.
important context.
So your question is?
So my question is, how tethered is this world that you created to like real life? Because we were like, we don't know. Is this we read it like a fantasy novel, you know? We were like, this month's fantasy book club is done and dusted.
This is incredible. I did think the question was just going to be, what is a ranch? Which I'm also so happy to answer. But I mean, I'm not writing a how to ranch novel. So like you can't read this and be like, all right, I'm ready to go buy a cow outfit and I'm gonna do this. But everything that you see, like as far as our life, is pretty accurate. This is like, it's very, I say Rebel Blue is kind of a love letter to the people and places that built me. And so like getting up at 4 a.m., you get up at 4 a.m. because it's hot in the middle of the day in the summer. So you want to get your outside work done first. Also, you want to, you rise with the sun, and when you have a lot of work to do. And so everything is like biblically accurate. But just like maybe a little bit like dramatized or romanticized. But I do try to really talk about, in a accessible way, like issues that ranchers face, like water and sustainable ranching. And I try to like make sure that those have spaces in my novels, even if it's just short and quick, because those are real issues that are facing my community and facing farmers. But it's not like, it's accurate, but like it's also seen through rose-colored glasses with a little bit of fun. So, but they do get up at 4 a.m. I'm really sorry.
So I grew up on a ranch, and I want to know what's the difference between a farm and a ranch to you?
A farm and a ranch. So a farm food, like, right, things that are growing out of the ground, or ranch.
Farming the land.
Yeah, farming the land. So when I say, like, there's a difference between a farmer and a rancher, a big difference, and every farmer and rancher will be like, yeah, I'm not a farmer, or I'm not the other thing. But farming the land, ranch generally has to do with like livestock animals, whether it's cattle, horses, whatever.
Farm animals is a misdirecting term.
Yes, it is.
Wanted to ask if you had any plans for any further bonus chapters, because I am a sucker from a chapter from the opposite POV and that Luke Emmy moment 8. So just curious.
Yes. if you sign up for my newsletter, you can get chapter 19 of Done and Dusted from Emmy's point of view. A little plug. I mean, I generally write bonus chapters like as they come to me. I usually use them as like kind of like something fun and happy and exciting to do, like a little break, like a writing for joy purely. So I don't really plan them out, but I will say that I miss Wes and Ada deeply. And so I would love to do some bonus content for them at some point.